It's not often you get a guy in his 80s that gets to find the car that his dad bought new, that he drove when he was a teenager, and he gets to restore it to the way he remembers it.
I mean, it's a beautiful car, but if it wasn't my dad's, if there wasn't that connection, I don't think I would have necessarily obviously bought the car. And maybe someone out there, you know, will hear the story and say, well, wait a minute, we know a little bit about that car.
If you want to see more car content like this, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to visit our website to explore our curated inventory of luxury, classic, and investment grade cars.
So what's really cool about cars is the stories. And Allard is one of those stories. It starts out with a guy that starts hot rodding cars. He puts bigger engine in smaller cars. And in 1945, he makes it official. He opens up his car company. But by 1958, it was going to be gone. But those 13 years, there was some really cool stuff that came out of Allard. He started out building the J car, which was a competition car, the K car, which was a road car, and the L car, which was a four-seater, a little bit for everything. But what really made him famous were the J cars. The J1 originally, and then the J2 is what most people remember. That was the car that ended up getting shipped over to America. Aluminum body, not a bad looking car, really cool chassis, and they let the Americans put the motors in those cars because it was just too expensive to ship motors over to the UK and then ship the whole car back. So they said, let's just put the motors in the US. And they put in some motors. They put in a Cadillac motor, an Olds motor, they put a Hemi motor in. They put anything with big horsepower that would fit under the bonnet of this thing, and they went racing. And they won a ton of races. And some of the greatest guys ended up racing these cars. Carroll Shelby, Zora Duntov, they all raced Allards, and quite successfully. Matter of fact, Allard himself ran Le Mans, finished third overall in one of these cars. Really cool story. And where do you think Carroll Shelby and Zora Duntov got the idea of putting a big V8 into a lightweight aluminum car? In order to stay relevant, the J2X was built, and really what that car was just something to try to be a little bit more competitive with the C-types, the early Ferraris, the Maseratis, because now you had the works teams really getting involved in international racing. So what they did is they actually moved the motor forward. You think that's a little counterintuitive, but what they needed a little bit of space. They needed a little bit more weight over the front of the car for handling, and they actually had a better handling piece, but in light of all the serious competition coming out of Europe, they weren't quite as successful. The last kick at the can were these cars. So they built 7 J2Rs. They were probably, well, in my mind, I think they were the best looking cars. They're really good looking. They're super lightweight. They're about 2,000 pounds. They got the great Cadillac engine, which had been refined now. They were making 300 horsepower in a 2,000 pound car. They also went to Le Mans for the last time. Allard drove one, Duntov drove the other car. Neither car finished. It was, like I said, their last kick at the can, and I think the writing was on the wall at this point that they were not able to compete with the factories, Jaguar, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes. There were some pretty formidable guys out there racing cars at events like Le Mans. But this is where this car gets really interesting. It's one of those 7 cars, and the story of this car is fascinating. When we had a guy come in and say, hey, I'm thinking about having my Allard restored, we thought it's just another customer looking to get a really cool car done. Then he came in and talked to us a little about the car and what it meant to him. His dad bought this car brand new. So we sat him down. We thought it'd be a real interesting story for you guys to hear.
This is J2R Allard. There were only 7 of them made. My dad bought it directly from Allard, ordered it from Allard in early 1955. More people know about the J2 Allard. That's the one with the motorcycle fenders. Originally, Allard used flathead Fords and Mercuries in their cars in the late 40s, and then they switched to Cadillac engines. They went to Cadillac. So Allard was sort of the first European manufacturer to use American power plants in their cars. And it's interesting that Carroll Shelby actually drove an Allard, a J2 Allard. So just getting back to this car, These cars were developed for the 1953 Le Mans French race. My dad, who was an avid car enthusiast, he had a family business over in England back in the late 30s, and actually he bought a Jaguar SS 100 and actually raced it there at the Crystal Palace. Anyways, he was always interested in the Allards and racing cars, and so he decided that he would buy the JR. Not that he was going to race it, but he just wanted it, loved it. As far as memories of the car, I mean, I didn't have my license, and so I guess I was 14 or so. I remember the car arriving in a big crate. It arrived in a crate. I remember unpacking it out of the crate, and they couldn't find the key. So that was the first issue. They couldn't find the key. At that time, we didn't have a heated garage, so it was taking up a place in the garage. I would go and warm up the car this time of year. Where we lived in Etobicoke was actually pretty rural, and a lot of the houses had circular driveways, so I would take the car out and go around the neighbors' driveways. That was my exposure to driving the car. It's the only left-hand drive, and the only JR with a passenger door. So my dad had the idea that it would be a car that he could just use. As far as driving the car, he drove it up north. We lived, as say, in Toronto, West End. He drove it up to Huntsville a few times. Our cottage was about 20 minutes off the main road, or off a road. And there were gates, and there were sheep, and there were cattle. So you had to stop, open the gate, go through, make sure the cattle don't come through or the sheep don't go through. And you have to be careful you don't hit a rock. It was just across a field. It wasn't a graded road. And it was overheating, I'm sure. And he drove it around a little bit, and people could hear you could hear it coming. Allard had a number of other models, which are a little more practical for the street. I mean, they had roll-up windows and a top. Anyways, this is what he wanted. So anyways, he sold it in 1958. So he only had the car for a couple of years. Why he sold it, I'm not, I don't really, beyond the fact that it wasn't very practical, I'm not sure. I mean, it was pretty much an out-and-out race car. It had an overheating issue, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't think he got my mother in the car too often. Maybe that was another reason he sold it. But my interest was more on the old cars, the Model Ts, the 32 Fords, that sort of thing. That was my interest. And when I was growing up, my first car was the 31 Chev Coupe when I was 13. So my interest in this car, I would say it was maybe early 70s. I started to think about what happened to this car. The fellow he sold it to, I knew the last name and I knew roughly where he lived, but beyond that I didn't know. So I tried to do some research on this individual's last name, where relatives, because nobody seemed to know anything about him. So I kind of gave up for a period, and then maybe 5 years later, or 10 years later, I tried again, and I really didn't get anywhere. It was owned by a number of people. And then after it was restored, it attracted quite a bit of attention. Nobody seemed to know anything about it. I guess 8 years ago, just out of the blue, I had a relative. They had spoken to the grandson of the fellow my dad sold the car to, and he said, the grandson said that the car still existed. And it existed in New York State. So from that, I researched and found that Jim Taylor, the collector down at Gloverville, he had the car. So I went down, this is, I guess, 8 years ago. I went down, actually had a ride in the car, but it certainly wasn't going to sell the car. That was an exciting time. It sort of recognize some of the, the sounds and the feelings of the car. So that sort of closed that chapter. I knew it existed and it was down there, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, Googling Allards, which I do periodically, I heard that Broad Arrow Auctions were selling all his cars, Jim Taylor's cars, including this car. So I became a phone bidder and got the car. And that was just a year and a half ago. It's a beautiful car, but if it wasn't my dad's, if there wasn't that connection, I don't think I would have necessarily obviously bought the car.
It's not often you get a guy in his 80s that gets to find the car that his dad bought new, that he drove when he was a teenager, and he gets to restore it to the way he remembers it.
Yeah, once I got the car, just drove it about 3 or 4 kilometers, and that was about it. But my thinking was that always I would like, even though it's beautiful, I'd like to take it back to the original color. The original color was a red, not an orangey red, kind of a deep red. One obvious thing is the steering wheel needs to be changed. And there's a few other features in the car that need to be changed.
So we're gonna build a tonneau like the photographs that he has and make sure it fits properly. We're gonna find the right wheel for the car. We're gonna make this car exactly the way he remembers the car. So again, what we're gonna do a little bit more of is we're gonna follow some of the restorations that we're doing. This one has a great story, not only because it's a super rare car, one of 7 built, but it's a super rare customer in the sense of this guy was there when it was brand new. He was a young kid and he drove it, his dad owned it. It's an exciting car for us to do. So we're gonna do a couple of segments following this car. The next one's gonna be the disassembly and the stripping of the car, and we'll see what we find underneath it. It looks like a pretty good car, but you never know until you get it stripped.